Hey team, we're talking about Alex Becker again today. Becker recently released a video called How to Make 100x Flipping Metaverse Crypto Coins Full Guide Metaverse Investing. I gotta say, despite the clickbaity headline, this is a pretty solid take from Becker. I don't always agree with him, but this is good stuff. Let's recap Becker's predictions, look at his playbook, and then I'll share what I'd specifically do to use the Becker Playbook to make money. First off, without going too deep into this, I'm pretty sure Becker watched my prior video. On February 1st, I asked Becker what the metaverse meant to him. 18 hours later, on February 2nd, he announced that he would upload a video explaining exactly that. On February 6th, I uploaded a video critical of his take, and on February 10th, he released a video addressing much of that criticism. He gives a comprehensive overview on what the metaverse means to him. He's pulled way back on his hate for Bitcoin. He talks about the hype cycle, which he had not before. He says the metaverse will take 10 years to develop, which he had not said before. I'm getting a vibe, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he saw my video. So if you're back watching again, hi Alex Becker. Okay, moving on, looking at Becker's outlook, playbook, and how I'd run those plays. Becker says the metaverse will go through a hype cycle. It'll be bigger than the 2000.com bubble, and we're already seeing that happen now.
We're gonna see, just like the dot-com boom, where we see 90% of everything be worthless crap. Okay, like remember pets.com, yada yada. Most of the things we see being sold as metaverse right now, they're not going to be around.
So if you're buying now, understand that the market for gaming tokens, for NFTs, all the metaverse plays, they're all inflated. Relative to real world utility and the timelines it will take to deliver on that utility, it's all inflated. Of course, everything is inflated right now. We're in the everything bubble, real estate, stocks, because the currency itself, the metric by which everything else is measured, that is inflating. The most recent CPI numbers show inflation at 7.5%, which just makes everything unstable when your measuring stick is shrinking. Moving on, he illustrates that NFTs are not just pictures of bored apes, but programmatic management of digital assets.
It's not pictures. It allows you to own digital objects and transfer them through digital realms.
The metaverse will entail commerce with cryptocurrency, digital goods management with NFTs, and an immersive 3D environment. All of that is accurate. Then he gets into his recommendations.
One of the first places you're going to see this really hitting hard in is going to be gaming crypto. Okay, and I think gaming crypto is going to be the thing that really takes it forward. So the first thing you should really be doing is you should be looking at game cryptos. Okay, you can do that literally by going to Google and typing in gaming cryptos. It'll take you to CoinMarketCap. So you see all this right here. The really interesting thing is this will be this thing isn't even worth is 1/100th of Facebook or Tesla. I believe Tesla has like $1 trillion valuation or something like that right now. At least Apple does. It's not even worth a fraction of these single companies. It's at a $30 billion market cap right now. Okay, undiluted, which is important. When this will be a multi-trillion dollar industry, 10 trillion market cap of all of it easy.
He's right about that, though the timeline isn't totally clear. Grayscale, the crypto investing firm with $55 billion of assets under management, they recently confirmed this, citing the Web 2.0 market cap of 15 trillion for companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, etc. Becker says you need to be part of hands-on communities, and this is smart too.
You got to really be in tune with this. This is the first place you should really be looking at. And the next thing I would suggest is joining communities, or at least participating in Metaverse Twitter and just focusing on that. A good place to start is you can go to my Twitter and you can follow the people that I'm following. I have a good Twitter list built up, but also join communities and Discords. But for example, the group that myself and Alio Trade started, Neo Tokyo, that's a group that's dedicated to people building in the metaverse. And so everybody there is focusing on everything metaverse at the same time. So a lot of things are caught early. It's a cool place to be if you're focused on building companies, building your own brands, and actually working the metaverse.
Join Neo Tokyo. Great idea. For a moment, let's just ignore the fact that Neo Tokyo's citizens have a floor price of 20 ETH, roughly $62,000. Let's ignore that huge barrier to entry. When I went looking to answer the question, what is Neo Tokyo? The answer was a bit more elusive than I'd expected. There isn't anything on their site that lays it all out for noobs, just links to different places where activity is happening, but no explanation of that activity. And look at this post from their Discord. Where can I read up on the white paper roadmap? No white paper, no roadmap, no promises. This is how a lot of Web3 happens. It's a lot more if you know, you know. Where Web 2.0 companies wanted everybody to join their service and they would bend over backwards to make it straightforward and simple, in Web 3, a lot of the behavior is driven by exclusivity. They don't want everybody in unless you're offering something really valuable. Okay, Here's the thing. Groups that are hard to get into, that either have some barrier to entry or they're simply difficult to figure out, they're usually the groups that are worth getting into. If it was easy, they'd be flooded with people who don't bring any value to the table. These communities thrive because everybody is committed and they bring their own expertise and abilities and insights and time and research to the table. So don't let the fact that there's no helper holding your hand deter you. Neo Tokyo is, as Becker puts it, a gaming crypto insider Illuminati private yacht club where the best VCs, studio heads, investors, and industry leaders come together to exchange ideas and thoughts. Sounds great, but as mentioned, high cost of entry. You might not be able to get into Neo Tokyo now, but stay tuned. They'll likely open up new opportunities as time goes on. Thankfully, the metaverse is a universe of universes, and there are other places to get involved. Becker mentions Network. This is a tool for constructing metaverse worlds. It looks pretty interesting. He's previously mentioned Remark, a tool for creating NFTs that can evolve, interact, own other NFTs. These projects look super cool, and there are definitely more to explore, but what I'd really like to play with is Fractal. Fractal is an NFT marketplace founded by Justin Kan, a co-founder of Twitch, which sold to Amazon for $970 million in 2014. Kan actually has a lot of impressive accomplishment in his history, but suffice it to say that he seems like somebody who is always on the front edge of what's coming and doesn't hesitate to dive in with new technology, figure it out, and build the future with it. Kan launched Fractal less than 2 months ago, just like Neo Tokyo. So guys, all of this stuff is new enough that a noob like you and me can just walk in and start figuring stuff out as quick as anybody. Like we said, Fractal is a marketplace for gaming NFTs. Now I know OpenSea dominates the field so far as NFT marketplaces go, but most of what's on OpenSea is, I guess you'd call it art, though I'm hesitant to use that term for this, or this, or this. And by OpenSea's own admission, 80% of the free NFTs created on their site are fake, stolen, or spam. I think OpenSea will be fine, ultimately. They're on course to be the Coinbase of NFTs, but I just don't get excited about that. Fractal, however. Fractal is interesting. And Kan is interesting. He was in the first cohort of Y Combinator, the premier startup accelerator on planet Earth. Here you can see very young and very dorky tech titans like Alexis Ohanian and Aaron Schwartz, co-founders of Reddit, and Sam Altman, whom we've talked about before on this channel. Kan is also an active YouTuber. He launched his channel last year. Kan has founded several companies. Twitch is simply the most notable. And you can buy some of his YouTube videos as NFTs on OpenSea. And he says that Fractal will be bigger than Twitch.
Wait, so is Fractal actually going to be bigger than Twitch?
Yeah, it's going to be way bigger than Twitch.
Fractal has a killer team, and Fractal operates on the Solana blockchain, so you can avoid many of the pitfalls of Ethereum, like insane gas fees and failed transactions.
Imagine what you can do when these in-game items are actually programmable and extensible.
There's something I've believed for a long time, and it's that technology that will shape the future almost always starts out looking like a toy or a game. Very few people took Bitcoin seriously when it came out. It was deeply technical and difficult to get into and worthless and useless. What were you even going to do with it? That was a perfectly reasonable criticism of Bitcoin 10 years ago. Now it looks like it might become a dominant, if not the dominant, money on planet Earth. You know what else is useless when it starts out? Human babies. They don't do much. They require a lot of resources. They're pretty useless. And then they grow up. And you know what? The same thing played out with personal computers. In the 1970s, the Homebrew Computer Club was the group of nerds in the San Francisco Bay Area that met up regularly to talk about computers. And one of their first points was to figure out what to even do with a computer, a personal computer. Like, they had them. They had computing machines, but what do you do with it? The first commercially successful personal computer was the Altair 8800, and it did not have a monitor, a keyboard, or a mouse. It just had switches and lights and microprocessors for computing. And guess what? That was the beginning of the computer revolution. From that group of nerds was born countless technologies that we use daily, including Apple Computer. Does that sound familiar? A bunch of nerdy dudes meeting up to play with highly technical pieces that nobody knows what to do with? It sounds like Neo Tokyo or Fractal. It sounds like a toy. It sounds like a game. This stuff all has to be imagined before it can be built. That's where it starts, nerds imagining the future. You know, there are some sci-fi movies that become iconic cultural touchstones independent of their merit as films. Minority Report is 20 years old, and it's still a go-to reference for any discussion about reimagining user interface. And Ready Player One is only a few years old, but it's already shaping up to be that same thing for the metaverse. The whole plot of Ready Player One centers around finding 3 hidden keys that can't be controlled or co-opted or even stolen by anybody, not even the people who operate the game world, and the ones who find the keys would be granted control over the virtual world. Everything this is describing, it all points to NFTs, digital objects that can't be controlled except by the person who has in-game keys or cryptographic keys. And NFTs as a control mechanism, as a badge of authority to do certain things in the metaverse, that is absolutely a thing NFTs will do. Anyway, it's just interesting to think about. There are differences between the book and the film, but they're basically the same plot. And Ready Player One, the book, came out in 2011, long before NFTs were invented, barely after cryptocurrency was invented.
And then the very next day, we had sold the rights to Ready Player One for more money than I ever imagined I would make or anyone in my family had ever made. My whole life had just changed in that first 24 hours. And then they said, oh, by the way, now there's a bidding war going on in Hollywood for the film rights.
So if we're not radically wrong about how we're imagining the future metaverse, and it ends up looking something like Ready Player One, then an NFT marketplace will be central to that world. Khan's previous startup was acquired by Amazon, one of the largest companies on Earth, the everything store. But remember, Amazon started out selling used books. Little old gaming NFT marketplace Fractal has the potential in time to become the Amazon of the metaverse. That's it, team. That's what I have. What do you think? Is the future of the metaverse going to be groups like Neo Tokyo and sites like Fractal? Are there projects or technologies that I'm overlooking that we need to dive into? Let me know down in the comments. Share your hopes, fears, dreams, and ambitions, and we will address it all in a future video. Thanks, team.